Wolf Pack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Rose Street. RoseStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here for the first time in 2024. Happy New Year to everybody out there. It is time for some playoff best ball. That is why we're here. Hopefully you took down those 2024 titles. Would love to hear from you guys in the comments. Hit me up at Rose Street Wolf. If we helped you get there, would love to know. But now it is time. We got to keep that fantasy season alive. And one of my favorite places to do so is on Underdog, which I have just brought up here. Now, if you've seen Underdog before, this quick little primer at the beginning, it's going to take a quick minute, just kind of show anybody who might be new here what it is like and what we're getting into. Go over a few tips as we wait for a draft to load. But we will be best ball drafting for the playoffs, extending the fantasy season, keeping it longer, even more this year in 2024. And then, of course, you add some extra stakes to the playoffs. But as you can see here, this is where Underdog is. And as the top corner tells you, if you haven't played, please do consider signing up with code RSJ. Link in the description. It does help your boy up, and you could get up to $100 matched, which is awesome. But you go to their drafts, and here is the tournament. It's very user-friendly. Looks even better on the app, but it's easier to stream here from the computer here. And as you can see, they have contests of all varieties, whether you're more high stakes, you want to go $250 a buy-in, $5 mitten, $3 little mitten. I love that contest, the little gauntlet. But the big one, and the one we're going to be drafting in today, is the gauntlet. So I just encourage you guys to check out, enter whatever is encouraging to you, whatever fits your prize pool. And there's definitely different rules for each. They're all fairly similar. And just as a quick primer to them all, you can kind of see here, and you click on them, you'll get more information, the payouts and whatnot. So this one has a payout of $150,000. That'd be a nice little prize to take down in February to kick off your 2024, right? And ultimately, the other thing I always recommend you pay attention to is the round advancement. That is different for each tournament and something that's different for them this year. And especially if you're a seasoned best ball player in playoffs, you know this. Usually it was 1 out of 6 advanced, but now we have 2 out of 6, which definitely changes the type of teams we can build. You're going to have 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 receivers / tight ends. So there's no tight end spot. They're combined in here. And then a flex spot as well, in addition to 5 benches. So we'll be drafting 10 players against 6 people. 2 of the 6 will advance. And of course, you can click all rules to get more detail on any of these. As you can see here, the advancement's a little bit different here for the little mitten. We do have 2 out of 6, just like the gauntlet, then 2 out of 10, 1 out of 10, and a 248-seat final with the lower buy-in. It is a much smaller prize pool, $10,000 to first, though still not a bad return on your investment if you go in for just $3. So that's a great place to start. If you've never played, I love that tournament as well. A little bit more user-friendly with 2 people moving on in those second 2 rounds. I definitely encourage. It's a great place to start. But let's dive in. We're going to enter this, and then I'll go through a few tips here for the best ball as we go in, just to kind of overall best practices. And we have 5 people still to join. Like we said, it's 6 people per draft. So that gives us plenty of time here to jump into a couple quick tips here for your best ball settings. In team 1, and it's very, very obvious, and in general in best ball, stacking is so important. Correlation is so important, but especially in playoff best ball, where you're getting points for as long as your players are alive. And unlike a lot of playoff formats, this is not cumulative. It's not who has the most total points by the end. Did you encourage a team that just made it all the way and you got things? This is like 4 individual tournaments. You got your wild card round, then you got your divisionals, your conference championships, and then the Super Bowl. And as you can see, all the prizes are very heavily concentrated to the Super Bowl. So you do have to make it through at least these 3 rounds to then get into the heavy prize pools. Now, you do get money as you go, so you ultimately can start to make some money back. But the real reason you're doing this is to try to take down those big pots. And so you have to have a balance of strategy to get there. And so really to do it, you have to stack up at least, I'd say, I try to focus on 2 teams, maximum 3 teams. And you really just want 1 AFC, 1 NFC anchor, or maybe 1 AFC, 2 NFCs. However it ends up going, you have to be flexible. And as you can see, we're starting to draft here. So you do have to be very cognizant of your the opponents, who they might be facing, and all that good stuff. And as you can see, I'm just going to show you here before the draft starts. This is my playoff bracket, and you do really want to have this type of awareness as to where it could go. I have the Bills beating San Fran in the Super Bowl here, but I also do really like the Rams. I could see them upsetting Detroit and then maybe even facing off against San Fran and taking them out. So I do have a couple brackets there where the Rams are very highly ranked, but because I'm so high on Buffalo and San Fran, they are dominating a lot of my drafts here. So that is what I'm trying to do. I'm stacking up those two teams and you're trying to get a combo. And at minimum, you do want a full roster for the playoffs there, or your Super Bowl rather. You want to fill out, again, at least one running back, one quarterback, two receivers, tight ends, and a flex as well. And so those are just a couple things to keep note. I'm going to go through a few more tips, but I do want to check. Okay, so we're picking fifth here, so we got a few more picks here to go. I do, as I mentioned, like stacking up the Bills, so I'm going to key up Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. Their prices are still relatively low because of the uncertainty of them making the playoffs just a few weeks ago. I've been stacking them up heavy. I have about 40% of my teams have Josh Allen so far. A lot of money invested in those Bills as well. So as we're waiting for it to get to us, though, too, you want to keep these rankings fluid. So, yeah, I do ideally have Josh Allen top 3 of my big board here. You can get all those rankings at RoadStreetJournal.com. But let's say I end up with Tyreek Hill. Now, suddenly when I say fluid, I'm going to now be bumping up his teammates, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle. Should I take Tyreek Hill here? And I'm going to be dropping down all the Chiefs or common opponents he might be seeing in the near future. You want, again, these guys to be lasting as long as they can. You want to draft as if you are right. So you do want your rankings to be very fluid here as you go. Now, one thing to keep in mind, too, and this is going to make sense, perfect timing to talk about. So I'm going to just take Josh Allen. I'm going to hope Stephon Diggs. I can't imagine Rocky B will go Diggs as well here. But I'm talking about team stacking. This is what I'm going now. All my Bills are going to get bumped up my rankings. They're facing the Steelers. Not that anybody had the Steelers all too heavy in their rankings anyways. But ultimately, I would not be drafting any Steelers at this point because they're round 1 opponents. So I've got my stack here with Allen and Diggs. And now, at worst, I might end up going after some Dolphins who they might end up seeing in the AFC Championship, because you can kind of play that game where you might have 2 AFC teams that you think could make it all the way to the AFC Championship and face off, could end up going for some Ravens, that different stuff. But ultimately, that is something to keep in mind there. I'm going to keep moving here forward with another next tip. So as you said, I'm bumping up my rankings for the Bills. I'm bumping down any Steelers, which I didn't really like anyways. But you do need to advance. And that was one thing I want to talk about with Lamar, with some of these other teams here, is they have a bye week and you ultimately need to score. We're treating them each as an individual tournament. So the guy in front of me, he drafted Lamar. Well, now he ultimately has to account for that bye. So he has to get somebody that's going to put up some decent points for him. I like going for the Rams as a potential fill-in in that sense. Like I said, I do like the Rams in general. So that might be a stack I end up going after here. And you can see some of these rankings. So Kyron, ultimately, I'll pull the big board view up here. Kyron going 11. That's where I have him on my big board, and I would have liked to have him here at 17. Get that Rams stack that he's going after here. He looks like he's going Bills and Rams, which is exactly the young Hannibal that I was going to be going for myself. So we'll have to audible to a new team here. Now, AJ Brown, falling to us. Maybe we do go after on the NFC side. Is he healthy? What we got here? The latest report was that's not believed to be serious. That's not a bad play. I actually like going him because he's a great shot to help me advance, and he's on the other side of things. So I like going there. Jalen Hurts often will fall back. I'm not going to go to Jalen Hurts right now, but hey, maybe pick 30. He ends up falling back to me. We did lose out on James Cook, so now I'm kind of looking here as a potential option. So we do have Eagles potential stack. I'm not going after Kelsey because that could be a next round opponent, but we probably aren't going to be facing off. And I actually sneaky really do like the Browns here. This is, again, I think they're going to pull the road, not even upset. They're 1-point favorites there against Houston. So I think that could end up working into their favors as well. So I do like going Browns a little early there on Amari Cooper, but I like the stacks you can build. And they would most likely not face off with Buffalo, rather, until the AFC Championship. So I don't mind going after that. Now, again, I would have liked James Cook. I would like Kyron Williams. I do like going after those stacks there with the Rams. I like going after as well the Lions. I think whoever wins that game is going to really ultimately tilt something. So I think that game itself is going to have a lot of value. And then it help you advance, but then also the opponent there, that the offenses are so explosive and concentrated between the Lions and them. So I think that is something to be aware of. But you do need to be wary of advancing. So that will come into play later in terms of like Mike Evans and Nico Collins and some of these guys that ultimately one-offs in a way, but you want those one-offs to have about 20 plus point upside. And the last tip, and then I'm just going to stop with these tips here, is differentiating, adding firepower late. And we're going to talk about what I mean by that, finding those sleepers there in the later rounds. What's going on, Captain Quint? Great to see you. Absolute peak of degeneracy as Charlie Metalakis goes with us. So now the rest of the time, I can just kind of focus on the draft. We don't have the tabs, but great to see you guys. Thanks for joining me here tonight. Indeed, it's going to be a fun time. This is the peak of degeneracy as well. What's up, too, is the champ of the Dynasty League is here indeed. All right, so we are up next. So I'm going to be looking through some options here. We already went with some Eagles, so drafting as if we are right in that they're going to upset not really an upset, the road favorite here. I'm going to go with Devonta Smith. And now I actually don't hate, and one thing I might go here is Raheem Mostert, because they would not ultimately face, if the Dolphins do pull the upset, which I think they could, they would not end up facing off with the Bills until the later rounds, the AFC Championship there. And so, Amari Cooper, he could be just a piece that puts me over. But I'm going to have a couple pieces here of some AFC teams. DeAndre Swift could be a running back as well. I don't like the Eagles. I don't love that I'm getting forced in here. But ultimately, they do at any minute, like Jalen Hurts could turn it on. They could get it going for the playoffs. So I really don't mind. Plus, again, they have that explosive firepower here. But I am going to go after Raheem Mostert and hope that they ultimately, the Bills and the Dolphins, ends up being that AFC Championship. And I'll also go after Ford, Njoku, Swift. So this is going to look like ultimately an Eagles, Browns, Bills, Dolphins. It's a little less correlated than I would have liked this one to ultimately get to. Like I said, I love getting Bills and Rams. It's been a play of mine. I have about 40% exposure to Bills and Rams here, Kyron Williams and whatnot. But this one will not be. We'll probably fire up a couple of these because they go so fast, as you guys can see, much different than the other ones. Some news, obviously, is Laporta likely to miss a few games. That does hurt your ability to stack the lines. It's really just Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Jared Goff, of course, and then maybe Jameson late. I was hoping for Jalen Waddle to maybe make his way back. But the one thing that's nice about this squad so far is all these guys are going to be active in week one. And so they are, and there's some heavy firepower guys too, between Josh Allen and Diggs, that stack, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, big play receivers there. Assuming Jalen Hurts is healthy. Amari Cooper, last time out, had over 50 points. So this is a team that definitely has that round one advanced ability. And should something crazy happen and we get the Eagles just upsetting the world and going nuts and advancing multiple rounds, I'm going to have a lot of players, which is nice. The Bills, the one thing that I have been stacking them all preseason, since week 14, I have a lot of Gabe Davis. And unfortunately, he suffered an injury. And there has been not diagnosed with a PCL strain. Status to be determined. This is news to me. So 3 hours ago. So Davis can't suit up. So it sounds like it's not season ending, but we're not going to see him. A PCL strain does not sound great either. I do like stacking the Cowboys. It's another team. Like if you're at the top of the drafts, I like getting CeeDee Lamb. Dak falls late. I've gotten Cooks at like 40 or 50. I've seen Jake Ferguson fall far. But this could be also a good opportunity to get a couple of stacking partners with Josh Allen in addition to Diggs, who I already have. Now, I do kind of want to just wrap up my Eagles stack here. So I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift and just hope that team kind of goes off of Bills-Eagles Super Bowl, and this team would be money. But again, I don't believe in the Eagles. This is not a team that's reflecting what I naturally expect to happen here. I bet Goddard's going to fall really far at this point. So looking at the board, we have 3 more picks. So I do want to get a couple more Bills in here. I'm going to get Dalton Kincaid. We have that Gabe Davis, again, news that he's going to likely miss next game. So I'm not going to go after him. I imagine I'm going to also star Khalil Shakir here as well. And I'm going to put up Lenny Fournette. So that way, if the Bills make the Super Bowl and obviously the Eagles, there's no way the Dolphins and the Bills could make the Super Bowl. So if I want a running back, I want a full roster here. I could potentially get just a full Bills roster here between Diggs, Kincaid, Fournette, and then maybe Shakir, and I round out a full just Bills roster, and hopefully the other guys can just propel me into the Super Bowl. Their goal, again, is to always have all these roster spots filled up there. So it does look, I'm guessing the team that took Njoku also took Ford. So I didn't get much of a Brown stack. I got Cooper that has a potential push me into the next round type of guy, but that's about it. I'm looking through here. Yeah, so where Njoku went there. And then Ford. So yeah, Browns are all spread out in this case. Interesting stuff. But this gives you, again, a good overview of what's happening. I'll definitely keep bouncing back and forth between the questions and comments. Please do let me know if you guys have any. What's going on, Omar? Happy New Year to you as well. Great to see you. Hopefully you guys are getting some good the playoff degeneracy is the best. And those of you out there, if you're enjoying what you're hearing, please do consider hitting that thumbs up button. I know it's the off season. We're probably not going to be getting out to nearly as many people here, but I did want to pop in, say hi. Great to see some of the regulars popping in here. One stack I'm intrigued in. I don't know if Quint, you're still here, but I was texting you earlier about this one, is the late Packers stack and what that could look like as some potential firepower to push you forward, which I am definitely still intrigued by. That's in terms of differentiating, adding firepower late. Not a lot of people have Packers at this point in the tournament, so I could see that being an interesting way to get different and add firepower all at once. Now, I am going to go with Shakir, again, assuming that this Gabe Davis thing is lingering. He is fresh off 100 yards himself, and he just looks really solid, ultimately. And so then I'm going to wrap up with Lenny Fournette. I can't imagine anyone's going after him. And this isn't a bad one. This isn't my favorite team I've ever drafted. I can show you guys a few of those rosters. I've been doing these since like week 15, week 14, when the Bills were 20% chance of making the playoffs, and I was getting Josh Allen at 25, 30. And so I have some teams that are just insane with that. But I still want to keep stacking them. I know I probably should differentiate my profile, but I just love the Bills this year. And it's an offense that I think right out of the gates can keep moving you on and get all the way. So 4 games of them gives me a chance to really go far. So we ultimately went Josh Allen, Diggs, stacked up those two. And then we ended up with an Eagles on the NFC side of thing, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Swift. If we somehow get a Bills and Eagles Super Bowl, one thing I do like about the Eagles, again, they lost to the Giants. I'm not very hopeful that the Eagles are going to make a deep run here, but they made it last year. Hurts is a baller. And as far as they do make it, I mean, one, you get the Bucs, a great spot for this team to kind of blow up against next week. So let's say they blow up, they win. That helps me get on around. And then they go into Dallas. That's a divisional opponent. Maybe they could go in there and pull the upset. I doubt it, but crazier things have happened. And so if I get multiple games of them, especially what if they do end up going to the Super Bowl? I mean, that is a team with some firepower. So as long as they do last, they're going to be packing a punch. So hopefully I get at least 2 weeks of them. Maybe I get even more. And then this team really has a shot. Because once you get to the playoffs, I'd have Super Bowl. They can carry me there. I have a full roster of at least Bills, but a couple of those guys. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Swift added to that. That team would be cooking. So I do really like that team. As you can see, I have drafted a bunch of these. This is an example of one I did last night, a Bills-Rams one. I'm going to do another draft live here, but you can see Allen, Kyron, DeAndre Swift. One thing I do like about the Eagles and Rams is they correlate well. They'll never face each other unless they both make the NFC Championship because they're such low seeds. So this was one that could definitely have some firepower to carry me pretty late. I kind of wish I added Stafford. He was there where I picked Gabe Davis, but I had Gabe Davis that late. Could be a great pick. But I can show you, like I said, I've been drafting a bunch of these things. This was one, this is an example of like when you draft early, got Purdy, Allen, CMC, James Cook, Kyron was going for it. So they were not locked to make the playoffs. Diggs, Davis, Cooper, Kupp, Dalton. So this is like very rare that you can stack up the Bills and Niners. It's going to be tough because the Niners have that bye. But let's say Diggs, Kupp, and Kincaid. What's going to be tricky is losing out on Gabe Davis likely this week, but maybe Kyron and James Cook have big days as well. If this team can get through, Josh Allen has a 40-point day, and then I get my 49ers in addition to my Bills, and maybe we even get another couple games. At that point, Kyron and Kupp would be facing the Niners, right? Because you look at the lowest seed moving on. I can't imagine the Packers and the Rams pull the upset. But I love stacking the Rams. I do think they pulled the upset this week, and then they have that chance to upset the Niners as well. So that was a team that was probably my favorite. You can see the kind of ones that I put the heart emojis on. 49ers. This is a tough one now. This was early, but the correlation there was there. So let's do another one. Let's fire up one more. We got that big game coming tonight. So yeah, we'll do one more gauntlet here. And while we're waiting for that, so 4 more people to load. Let's see if you guys got any questions. No questions here. So great to see you guys again. Let me know. One last call for that thumbs up button. Any questions you have, fantasy keeper related, anything at all, happy to answer those. But just to rip through those last tips one last time, if you're coming in late here, you got to make sure you're stacking, correlating, you're loading up on 2, maximum 3-ish teams that you really think could get there, being fluid as you decide what stacks you are going to be building with your rankings. It's not really worth it. I do have rankings at roastrejournal.com, but once you pick your anchor, Josh Allen for me this last round, once you have that, everything changes with your rankings. You're kind of crossing out half your list that could be new opponents soon. And then ultimately you're bumping up everyone that's a teammate with them, because it is all about getting that Super Bowl right. That's where all the big money is. And then, of course, you do need to advance. So finding some of that firepower in the later rounds, the Jaden Reeds, the Nico Collins, the Mike Evans, those are those one-hit guys that, if you're going to take a one-hitter, you want to be one of those guys that could go for 20. So it is that balance of like a Khalil Shakir, whereas if I get to the Super Bowl, now I have an extra piece, versus do I take Mike Evans, who could project me and propel me to that next round? Because I had the Eagles firepower, I didn't think I needed much of that late round. I'd rather stack the team I was building around. So that's that differentiate versus adding firepower here. One late guy I do love, just toss it out there. I talked about Rams, Demarcus Robinson. I could see him having a big week one, him being a good guy to kind of stack around. Now, do I change it up and not go around the Bills? I don't know. I have a hard time because like Lamar is the common guy. If CeeDee Lamb fell to me, I might go after that. I had been building around Tyreek quite a bit, and I still don't hate that because I could definitely see the Dolphins going in there, pulling the upside. I don't like this Chiefs team at all, but they are reeling right now. It just seems like they're running out of gas. But the Dolphins is one of those offenses, because you look at the teams that have won these last couple of years. 2 years ago, somebody stacked anybody that made the playoffs, the finals there, had stacked the Bengals and the Rams. 2 very concentrated but high-powered attacks that were playing from week one. That's really how you get there. Last year's, it was a very difficult year because the Super Bowl ended up being the 2 bye-week teams, but very few of those teams advanced after week one. So it is that tricky, delicate balance. Like, yeah, the 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens probably going to be the Super Bowl, maybe. But if you can find, again, the Bills versus the Rams, or maybe the Dolphins do advance. Your Tyreek, even if you don't go too far, maybe he's the guy you need to have. So, yeah, Josh Allen, I guess I won't get a chance to build around Josh Allen here. So I don't hate building around Tyreek and the Dolphins, because if they pull off that upset and then they're going into the Ravens, who did just smash them, put up 56 points against them. But this is an offense that could just light it up at any point. You're drafting as if you're right. What if the Dolphins got lucky, and then ultimately go far? Could have gone maybe after the Niners as well as a potential stack. But like I said, it's hard to draft these teams with the bye weeks and then still get moving on in round one. So I've had trouble with that myself. I might actually go after, I was going to say Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I guess it's going to be Ayuk. I do like, so it's going to be that bye week. But I could have a Niners Dolphins stack, which I don't think I have yet. That could end up looking pretty nice here. And then you could maybe go AJ Brown the next round, and you pull that Rams upset, then they would not even be facing them. So we got Diggs, Allen. That's where I really like to start. And I do imagine we're going to start seeing Allen really fly up the draft boards. But as you can see, I was getting him at like 20. I really loaded up on Josh Allen early, so I feel pretty good about that. Avoided the Jags for the most part. I have a couple teams with a handful of Jags scattered in there, but did not get overly burned like a lot of people ultimately did there. So we're going to be going, ideally, the one thing that stinks about the 49ers stacks too is like they just go so early. Purdy, Debo right there. So CMC. And now who else is there left? Juwan Jennings, Eli Mitchell, Now we're getting pretty ugly there. The one thing I do like about going Dolphins early as well, Tyreek, because if you play that, you're going to definitely be right here, and they're going to win at least a couple games. Well, you can still stack them with the Bills. I can still have my Bills Super Bowl. What's tough here, though, is I got to have Tua most likely as my quarterback. We'll see. Kyron goes there. I was going to maybe put some Rams into this lineup, but people are starting to wake up. I do have these teams that I feel really good about from the early drafts, so I might not do too many more because the price tags are just catching up. I was getting Puka and Kyron at 45 and 50 not too long ago, while loading up on Niners early and still getting these super teams. So we shall see. All right. A team that wouldn't be horrible to go with the Dolphins as well would be the Browns, because they would not link up. I am going to go Kittle, though, playing as if I'm making the 49ers Super Bowl. Now, again, I'm going to have to get some real firepower because I have 2 guys on bye early. So we'll start loading up. That's the good thing about the Dolphins, though, is they can just go nuts. Chiefs defense is pretty good. But I definitely don't want Chiefs. And that's so, that talking about the correlation, the stacking. I'm not going to be going after any Chiefs at this point. I just don't really like the Chiefs either because even if you load up the offense, like I could totally see the Chiefs making the Super Bowl, Mahomes going on a run, but they just have been so bad. And Kelsey's not Kelsey anymore. And is it Rashee Rice? So I'm going to have to get some firepower here, though. And I think A.J. Brown, if he continues to fall, not believed to be serious, he's still falling. I'm going to have a hard time passing up on A.J. Brown here and just hoping that he is good to go against the Bucs secondary. He might be what I need to move past these 2 buys, get me to my nice Niners, Tyreek and them upset. And now we're really cooking with gas there if we get all these guys in the next round too. So this gives us a lot of fun potential stacking. I actually do prefer Achane to Mostert, but I'm going to start queuing up here. My Dolphins, I'm going to add Amari Cooper, like I was saying. Up, there he goes. But that's not a bad AFC potential stacking partner. I mean, when Jalen Hurts falls this far, that could be a smash. And he took Mahomes. Now, this guy might be looking at he's stacking up the lines, though, so he'll probably go after Goff. I can't imagine he's going to go after Jalen Hurts. So I'm going to go Devon Achane, get my running back. And then ideally Hurts makes his way back to me. And I can stack up him and A.J. Brown and give myself a decent shot at advancing and getting to these Niners guys with that type of stack. Achane, the way he's been going off lately. I'm going to let Mostert sit. No, I guess not. He's not going to come to me anyways. Is this guy going to go? I mean, so this is a weird move. Just wanted to kind of point out, like, Chiefs and Dolphins are facing each other. That's not the ideal. And I guess you can technically say you're getting different by doing that, but I don't love that play. The Chiefs Dolphins there. I am gonna go Jalen Hurts here. Consider day-to-day, no fracture, so he's in okay shape. Maybe the Eagles are the one team, like they were going rounds and rounds before earlier, and now that was with them being the 5 seed. I get it. They've lost. They're plummeting here. But they could get hot. This is the team that if you're playing the market, they've gone down by 20, 30. I did not have a lot of Eagles early, so this gives me a chance to kind of add some to my quote-unquote portfolio. He did take Devonta Smith. I was kind of hoping that might work out for me, but maybe Waddle makes it all the way back. We shall see. I do need to eventually get to Tua to complete that stack. Now, Evans, well, those guys, so they're facing off against the Eagles, so he'd be not necessarily making much sense for me, but maybe I go after Nico Collins because that's a team that would not face the Dolphins for quite some time. I got to go Waddle here. There's no doubt about that. I sneaky really like this team. So we've gone Tyreek, and we got our 49ers. We got our little mini stack here with Hurts and A.J. Brown to hopefully pull us out around 1. We're getting some good Dolphins traction here. Am I at risk of anybody sniping me on Tua? Or can I let him fall? I don't think anybody's going to be going after Tua. That's in front of me. I don't know if I want to risk. There's nobody out here that's like worth risking it for, though. I'll go Tua. And I can queue up Goddard. So I only have Achane at running back, too. So it's not great. Maybe I'll go after Eli Mitchell. Get a little Niner in there. This is one where, like, I need some running back firepower, so maybe I will go after, like, Aaron Jones, Jaden Reed. They're no risk of facing the Eagles there. So that's not, like, a overly negatively correlated situation. What if they pull the upset? I kind of like that, actually. Maybe I'll go after that. Go Aaron Jones, Jaden Reed to wrap this one up. Eli Mitchell's tough to pass up, though. All right, let's go Aaron Jones. Get that running back. I don't hate this. Aaron Jones, yeah. I mean, we could maybe sneak in Jaden Reed here, wrap this thing up. The other option could be Kenneth Gainwell. Especially with Swift a little bit banged up here. I just don't know if I need Jaden Reed, given I have Reek, A.J. Brown, Waddle. I guess it gives me one more guy to potentially blow it up. You assume Hill and Brown will be the ones to light it up, but what if Brown doesn't play this week? I think Jaden Reed might be the play here. What's Gainwell really doing for me? And then we get the Packers pulling the unthinkable upset. And what would be nice about that is then A.J. Brown, they would be facing the 3 seed there, the line. That'd be nice. Jaden Reed went. Damn. All righty. Yeah, I think we'll just go. I think we're just going to end up going Gainwell here. Eli Mitchell's not a bad. We're going to go Gainwell. Complete our little Eagles triumvirate here. So, just to review this team, we started with Hill. Do I think the Dolphins go on a crazy run? Probably not. But we were able to get Hill, Ayuk, and Kittle. So if we got a 49ers-Dolphins Super Bowl, that'd be nice. And then we got A.J. Brown, Devon Achane, and Sane Valentine. I mean, he was going pick number 5. Him and what's his name, Josh Allen have essentially switched spots. But even if it's a 1-week rental, that's a guy that could put up 40 against the Bucs. And I think they're going to beat the Bucs, right? So then that's not bad. You get Jalen Waddle at a great discount because I'm stacking the Bucs there. Or stacking Dolphins. Yeah, pretty solid squad there as well. Let's see, we got 634. Maybe sneak one more of these in there. What do we got for questions here? Appreciate the call on different tourneys having different advance rates. The mitten is 1 to 6 the first round. Instead, so it's way steeper. Exactly, Charlie. That's why we wanted to make sure to point that out. Is 2 out of 6. I can get by with a couple 49ers. If it's just 1 out of 6, you really have to have that team that blows up. So ultimately, yeah, it really does change what the style is. So I'm happy that you caught that. You found that helpful there, Charlie, as well. So the mitten is about to wrap up. That's the 1 out of 6. So maybe we do one of those, squeeze a couple last mittens in here. Only $5. So this is a 1 out of 6 advance. And how does that influence what we end up doing here? So I have the 2 pick. I'm hoping CeeDee Lamb falls to me. I actually have been taking CeeDee Lamb 1 overall, particularly in these mittens where you do need to. Only one of these guys, one of all 6 of us, is going to advance. So I would love to get. I have some builds. I can. Let me see. Where would I go? Drafts. While we're waiting for that to start, I have a couple that Bills and Cowboys that I really liked. I think it was Bills Boys. Yeah, this one deserves the heart. So Allen, Dak, Pollard, Cook, CD, Diggs, Davis again. That injury really hurt me. But then Cooks, Ferguson, 4750, Shakir late. So that kind of helps offset that. Literally, this is one that's just like, talk about correlation. Entirely Bills and Boys. But if this team ends up making it all the way, we're talking real upside if we get a Bills and Cowboys Super Bowl, which is very, very possible. Both 2 seeds making it all the way. And I always love targeting, again, the 2 seeds because you don't have the bye. They have home field until the championship game, and they ideally make it. This was one I gave a heart as well. Josh Allen, Cook, Kyron, Debo, Diggs, Puka, Cooper. Oh, yeah, Cooper at pick 42, then Cooper Kupp at 43. Dave, I wish this was Shakir almost more than him. But, yeah, that's a nice-looking one as well with lots of firepower. All righty, so let's go to active drafts, though. All righty, so this one. Oh, CeeDee Lamb. Sorry for the delay, but let's go to that draft. We did get CeeDee Lamb. Is exactly who we wanted, and we will keep this one active. So we're going to be going after the Cowboys. Like I said, this is the mitten, so now this one, only 1 out of 6 advances, so it is trickier. You could potentially make it with your 49ers and your Ravens, but I feel a lot less comfortable going after them than I do in a 2 out of 6 advancer. Because, I mean, the way I've seen potentially, like, we could get Tyreek Hill falling on the way back to us here. I mean, I would love Josh Allen, Tyreek, trying to load up on as much firepower as we can. We'll have to find our kind of AFC anchor, though. This could be one where we go the Chiefs. Yeah, there goes Diggs Allen. They're not going to make it to the back end of round 2 anymore. I wouldn't hate Ayuk, though. Maybe I just talked about not going after that. For those, that's a matchup where they would not meet till the championship, so that's a potential one here. Seeing how they're falling, I'm shocked. We're a tricky spot because I really don't love how this one is shaped up. I like Pollard, Dak, but this is a little early to go after them. I guess I'm 3 for 3 tonight on A.J. Brown, but I don't love Rashee Rice or just, again, in terms of the sake of firepower, and those teams don't feel likely to meet next round. And I think this is where I'll get Pollard locked up. I do like the matchup against Green Bay. He seems like he's coming in a little bit hotter now these days. For a while, St. Brown, I had a lot of St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb stacks because, again, 2-3 seeds, they're not going to meet until the championship if they end up meeting. So I had been drafting that way. I just was thinking I could have gone Kyron and gone after the Ram stack that I like so much. Because Pollard's one of those things. One thing that you can kind of get away with is, like, people don't really want Pollard right now unless you're doing the stack there for the Dolphins. So I could have probably gotten away with a Kyron pick here, and then Pollard makes his way back to me, and I go Puka. I have some teams where I've pulled that off. If I would have gone, Kyron, Pollard, Puka, something like that, that would have been nice because if they do advance, the Rams, they'd be facing the Niners next round. So that could have been a nice one. Cooper would have been nice to get but let's see here. I like Jahmyr Gibbs a lot here. I'm going to go after him. I mean, this goes to show you. So this team's going to be nice big time because they get Rashee Rice. They get a nice stack there. Now that Gibbs does kind of lessen the appeal of going, I'm going to go A-Chain because I'm telling you, no one's going to take Dak. If they do, I'm fucked. This is a weird team, but again, I'm loading up on upside. I don't have an AFC anchor yet, right? So might as well make it the Dolphins and get some firepower at this point. And then I'll start ideally getting some more Cowboys here. But this is the risk you play is, do any of these guys really want Dak, on their team when they got a 49ers Ram stack going here? I don't know. I would have really liked if Amari Cooper had fallen right here instead of Gibbs. So I could have put my I really like the Browns sneaky. I don't know if you're still here, Omar, but like I think the Browns could definitely go on a run. This is another one where like Nico Collins actually might be interesting because they're not going to run into. Oh, Dak did go. Who the hell is this? Jalen Hurts. You already had Hurts, and he goes Dak. Well, that's what you get. You play with fire. I might end up just going after Nico Collins. What's this team? Yeah, they're not going to go. I can't imagine they'd go after. Let's go Nico Collins. And then maybe Jalen Waddle because we have our Dolphins already. This one's getting a little messy. This happens sometimes too. I played with fire. I thought Dak would fall to me, which he often does. I've gotten him at like 40 before. He did go Waddle. But you got to load up. All right, so we'll go Brandon Cooks here. And then I'm going to have to go for probably Tua and CJ Stroud is what it's looking like. Maybe Goff. Because I do have Jahmyr Gibbs, but this team, this is exactly how not to draft this. I got a little too cute here. You can learn from my mistakes. But with that 1-for-6 setting, you really want to get as much firepower in round 1 as you can. And I got CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, AJ Brown. That's a stacked receiving core with these two running backs, Tony Pollard, Gibbs, Devon Achane. But I'm just not – I don't have a team. Like this is one that is going to be unlikely to have a full roster for the Super Bowl. I'd have Lamb, Cooks, and Pollard. So, my Cowboys make it. But now I'm really banking on an AFC team having it. Now Tua's gone. So I'm going to have to really get crafty here with these last 3. Probably just going to go after Stroud, Singletary, going after a Houston just onslaught and just hoping that they go nuts is probably how I'm going to have to play this one. I do have Gibbs, so I don't mind without Rams. Like I think Goff at home against the Rams could have a huge day. So like that's one quarterback that, let's say they pull the upset, and then I can kind of queue up Jameson as well. There goes Singletary. So I'm gonna hit CJ Stroud because that gives me some my AFC QB. And nobody drafts Noah Brown. So that's like one where, again, differentiating late. And so this doesn't give me much to work with. But Goff, if I get like an AFC championship of Lions versus Cowboys, and somehow the Texans make the run of their lives. I mean, the AFC is wide open. I love the Bills. And I mean, the Ravens have been dominant, but there's a chance that they could go for it. So I think I put one more Texan in here, and that would give me 3 Texans, 3 Cowboys, boom, full lineup. So you only start 5. That's really my only path to a full lineup, I think. Colin, I already have 2 Texans plus 3 Cowboys, so that would be a full lineup. So maybe I do balance it out with Jameson, and that way it's, whichever team for the NFC. Well, Jameson already went, so we'll go Noah Brown and call it a fun draft. But the last one can show you how not to draft. I wish I did get Singletary, although I have 3 good backs here. All righty, we'll go Noah Brown. I'll tell you that no one's going to have him. So if he goes off for his 170 yards, which we've seen before, that could be a fun one. All righty. Well, Wolfpack, thank you again so much. There's 3 drafts for you. Looks like at least a handful of you stayed the whole time, which I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Just a reminder, if you haven't played on Underdog, use code RSJ. Use the link in the description. You'll get up to $100 match. It is one of the funnest ways to keep our degeneracy going there. You should do a mitt and I'll join. Did we have one? I'm on UD right now doing NBA drafts instead of working. I love it. Well, they're playing the Browns, so I hope they do not go nuts. Yeah, I don't think they're going to go nuts. I think the Browns beat them, so that's why I don't really want to go them, Omar. But hey, you never know. Maybe they do. But yeah, I actually really do like going after the Browns as an AFC complement to the Cowboys, those type of things. So yeah. But guys, thank you so much for being here. This was fun getting a few of these in. I hope this gives you some strategy. Those first two teams stacking around the Bills. Love how those ones came out. Bills and Dolphins, different stacks there. The last team a little messy there, but you see how it goes. And that's a good warning sign of what to not do in your drafts as well. So best of luck out there in your best ball streets. I hope to run into you guys. And if I don't take it down, I hope one of you do. Wolf for the Fantasy Sheep guys, be the wolf. Check out roadstreetjournal.com where you can find all our rankings, content, all my good stuff here for your best ball playoffs. And on your way out, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up button to give us that next little boost there, maybe sub to the channel. We're almost at 4K. That would be awesome. Thank you, Omar. Before we head out, won 3 out of 5 shits with a very generous super chat here. $25. Just shout out you and the Wolfpack. Won 3 out of. That's awesome, man. Congratulations on 3 out of 5 championships, my guy. You crush it every year, man. I know I help you out, but I kind of feel like it's like if you're already a wolf, then I'm good to help you out because you already know what you're doing. You know what to fade when I'm wrong. That's so generous of you, man. Thank you so much for such a super generous tip there. So glad to hear you won 3 out of 5. What a year. I won 2 out of 6. It's not bad on my end, but man, 3 out of 5, Omar. That is some impressive stuff. So look forward to defending those crowns this next year. Omar, are you still on Underdog? Maybe we do one more draft. What about that? We got what time is it? 6:48. I'd do one more with you. You said you just paid for one for me, so I could definitely sneak in another mitten if you'd like to get one more in here. You're doing the draft. You're doing some NBA. I never do the Underdog NBA drafts, by the way. I don't know enough about the NBA. You're here. All right, let's fire up a mitten, man. Although now you're gonna know what I'm going for with each one. So I'm gonna log into a mitten and we'll draft against each other. But I'm gonna sign off. What's your name on here, Omar, so I can look for you? I'm hitting it right now, so hopefully we square off. Although I think I might have just got in. What's your name though? I'll look out for you here, Omar, on the mean streets. And we'll square off for sure. I'm Roche. I've got the 6 picks. So I don't know if I'm with you in this one. Nasty 216. Nice name. Oh yeah, you're right. We're back to back. We're right against each other here. Omar, awesome. Let's go. Well, hey man, I'll hit Twitter so we can just join one. It's super. Yeah, you're the pick right before me, Nasty. You're 5, I'm 6. So let's see how this one goes. Omar, I'll hit you up on Twitter. I can't live stream it because you're gonna take all my picks. But guys, best of luck in those best ball streets. Thanks again, Omar, for that very, very generous super chat. You're a legend. And let's go blue tonight, huh? Michigan. Cheers, guys. RoastRejournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves.